The entire world is controlled behind the curtain of political puppets and world leaders by the real people who have the real power in the shadows. The signs and symbols through which they make and brand everything reveals their occult beliefs. Like, for example, the pyramid on the back of the dollar. The irony in the fact that they demand all the commoners like us to wear masks to hide who we are, as the blue bloods who actually rule the entire world begin to reveal or unmask who their true master is astounding to me. So, to get where I'm coming from on this, you at least need to know that there is a secret worldwide group of wealthy elites who rule all the nations of this world from the shadows. Some people are too stuck in their programming and love for this world to even get that far. And then some people find out that there is a worldwide conspiracy to control everything, but turn a blind eye to the spiritual component in this. Now, if you follow the history of this, the plan goes back at least 1,000 years. I personally think it goes back to ancient Babylon and beyond, but even 1,000 years is enough for me to make my point. So let's take a brief look at the timeline. The Freemasons, as a secret society, goes back to at least 1717, but an argument could be made to push that date back even further. The Illuminati, as the official narrative goes, puts them back to starting around 1776. Now, all these societies seem to pass a torch from groups that go back further in time. For example, the Rosicrucians started in 1617. The Knights Templar started all the way back in 1139, so that puts the date of these groups and what they have been planning at least as far back as 1,000 years. Personally, I think the groups go back to things like Pythagoras, Egypt, Babylon, etc., which would suggest that the elite societies and their grand plan to rule all goes back thousands of years. But for the sake of my argument, let's just use 1139 and the start date of the Knights Templar to begin, to make the point. So as a reminder, the Knights Templar were involved in the Crusades and discovered ancient secret occult knowledge from the Middle East. They were said to have worshipped the Baphomet, urinated on the cross, and ended up controlling all the banks back then. Sound familiar? So my point is this: what kind of humans would have the foresight and the elaborate planning it would take to have the vision of what the world would look like at least 1,000 years later? Most people cannot even plan out their own lives or even plan for their children's lives in one lifetime, let alone 1,000 years. Heck, most worldly powers do not even last 1,000 years. The USA has only been around for 200 years, for example. So my point is that there has to have been a guide or boss to lead everyone in the shadows for 1,000 years, at least. Otherwise, it would be impossible, in my opinion, to make every leader who follow the plan exactly. And what kind of human person would even have the intellect and vision for 1,000 years into the future and be able to single-handedly control future rulers to the T, making sure they all follow the plan exactly for 1,000 years? Also, I have no idea what 1,000 years from now would even look like. Can you see 1,000 years into the future? Because I can't. And the plans would have to be so detailed and aware of what is to come that no human on this earth could even come close to fathoming this kind of evil genius plan. Therefore, the origins of the elites and their plans, which they have followed in the past up to now, could not have been human in origin. The mastermind behind this all cannot be human and cannot be mortal. Only the spiritual dimensions are not bound by the same rules of time in this temporal existence. Therefore, the mastermind behind this grand master plan has to be a spiritual being. The spiritual being behind this is evil. This should be self-evident. Then the only one who could be behind this whole thing would have to be Lucifer. Go back and read what Albert Pike, the Freemason, said about predicting world wars and Lucifer. My goal in this was to show how it would be impossible for a human to have the complex knowledge and power needed to control this whole elaborate scheme to the letter from over 1,000 years ago. So once you're aware of this, and are aware that there is a devil, then you will have to know that God is also real, because you cannot have a devil without accepting the fact that God is also real. So God bless all who watch us in Jesus' name, and thank you for watching.